Camels gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning, death and hatred to mankind,
Poisoning their brainwash mind. I'm on fire. Oh my God. No, I've lit the sage. I have already lit the sage, guys. Not really on fire. Do you smoke after sex? I don't know. I've never looked. Welcome to Shaman Sundays. I'm your host, Brandon Cooper. I'm not wearing pants, but the sage is lit. This is going to be a very, very fun podcast. Those of you that actually paid attention to the events, this is the Veterans Edition of Shaman Sundays, thus the new background. I hope you guys love the new background. I know I've been talking for the last couple of months about Gun Room Radio. Well, Gun Room Radio is now known as Veterans Voice Radio. And we'll get into that and much, much more on this episode of Shaman Sundays Veterans Edition. We have the sage lit. We light the sage every week to get rid of all that negative BS energy and negativity from last week. And we're going to start today and next week off with some good positive vibes as I smoke out my entire studio because apparently the sage is burning great. Let's see who's watching. Frenchie. Hey, what's up, man? This is a good episode for you to tune into because, I'm sure you're going to have questions for my guest. He was in the Army as well, just like you, Frenchie. So you guys, I don't know, can do like third grade math together or something. Whatever you soldiers do. I don't know. I was actually out there doing stuff and, protecting people in the Army. I don't know what they do. I do. Oh yeah, I do know what they do. They bring air conditioning units to Iraq. So I want to thank the United States Army for that because that was amazing. No, I'm picking y'all. Who else we got tuning in from Canada? Joanne Stewart. Thank you for tuning in. Does that mean that this is a nation, like I'm internationally known since you live in Canada? Is that how that works? We're going to say yes. Welcome to the internationally known Shaman Sundays. Kim Brady, hey. You stepped on my nuts in the kitchen. I'm sorry that I thought I cleaned my nut up from the kitchen, but apparently I didn't. So I'll try to, when I eat the ice cream with the nuts on it, I'll try to be more careful. Sorry, I left my nuts all over your house. Who else we got? Oh, we have the Ark. Is it the Archangel of Paranormal, Thomas? I believe it is. Hello. I am burning the sage, man. Apparently we need it because usually the sage doesn't burn this long. I'm good with it. I left my nuts on the floor. I'm done with you, Kim Brady. Anne Marie. Hey, thank you for tuning in. And no fucking idea. I don't either. Joanne. I don't either. Y'all, my guest is a great dude. I met him fairly recently. And it was quite an interesting way that we met. And things have escalated from the time that we met to where we're at now. We have a ton of information to put in. We're also, I believe, we're going live on the MUPS podcast network, which is the Military United podcast streams. Yes, we are going live on there too. So hopefully we can get this out there. But guys, Donald Dunn is my guest. He is the president and CEO of Veterans Voice Radio and MUPS and several other things, which is all wrapped up into one nonprofit that we are working on. And we'll talk about that. But without further ado, let's bring on Donald Dunn. This dude's got an interesting story.
Well, what is happening, man?
What is up, my friend?
I appreciate you having me, man.
Man, look, it's an honor. It's an honor to, because I got to know what the Army does, because I don't know. And I need to, like, y'all don't even eat crayons. I don't
Nope.
know what, see, you don't know how to live.
We didn't actually bring the air conditioners. We stole that shit from the Air Force. We just took that shit. They weren't provided for them, you know.
I believe it, because one day I'm at Camp Chesty, 60 miles outside of Baghdad. We head out for a week-long mission, got a tick, blah, blah, blah. So it took us a little bit longer. Get back, and in these huge tents, there's now AC units all over. And I'm like, I don't care where they came from.
Well, they landed in Kuwait, and the Air Force was like, just fucking unload them. We've got to go.
Oh, well, I always wondered. Hello, Carol. I always wondered where the nice AC, nice. These were like nice Mitsubishi, like
yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, Donald, for those of my viewers that don't know who you are, can you give a little bit of background about who you are and a little bit of story about your 68 months, and then we'll get into the podcasts and radio.
All right. So, yeah, I spent 20 years in the Army. Came in '94. Shout out to Clintons, and then we did.
You better shout out the Clintons.
I just don't want to be suicided.
Yeah, behind the ear.
So I did 20 years in the Army, retired in 2014. Did, like you said, I did 68 months deployed. 9 of that was Bosnia. So it's 68 if you count Bosnia. And then the rest was Iraq and Afghanistan. I did 10 years in the special ops community. And then I retired and decided to be a truck driver. So I opened up a trucking company. I did that for about 6 years. And then I moved back to Missouri to take care of my mom as she was getting older. And since then, we have started this nonprofit / podcast / roller coaster ride of an adventure. I've released a book. I just released my first book about 2 weeks ago called Echoes of War. It's designed to talk about, us veterans, we don't like to tell our families about what's going on. And I was no exception. I didn't talk about it either. Yep. The problem and the things that I didn't think about was the fact that I had been with my wife since 7th grade and she knew me prior to the military. My kids were born prior to deployments. Mm-hmm. And then I became this dickhead and asshole during the pubic years. And they were like, where did this change come from?
Right.
There was no explanation. I never talked about it. So I wrote this book for them, and that's where the book came from. And now we are, like I said, we're building this nonprofit and going from there, man. That's me in a nutshell. Not on the kitchen floor.
I was like, this is me in a nutshell.
But I'm not on the kitchen floor.
Well, right, yeah. No, my nuts are on Kim's floor. Horrible. Oh God. We were hanging out with them last night. They live a couple miles from me, and they're also big into the paranormal world. So, it was super fun. Interesting how we got connected. I'll tell my part, and then you tell your part. But so I'm scrolling through the old book face, right? And I see this just random post. We're looking for DJs for volunteer for a veterans only radio network where we only play veterans and their dependents that are unsigned. I'm like, I'll bite. You know what? I'll do like an hour and a half a week. Sure, cool. Boy, that hour and a half has turned into a lot. So I'll let you take your end of the initial meeting.
So what we started out with. Let me give a little context of where this came from, right? So a little back history. We had a few soldiers commit suicide, and so we started this podcast called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. All right. Me and my old first sergeant, and we were strictly just targeting the guys that we served with. It wasn't supposed to be this big thing that it is today. And so he owned a little gun business. We filmed in his gun room, and that's where the name came from. We like to drink a little bit of beer and two drunk dudes in a gun room. Well, on top of that, it turned from season 1 into season 2. And season 2, I became a solo host, and I was bringing on guests and came across these veterans that were trying to become musicians, and they were grinding. I personally didn't care how many people watched my show. It was fun and it was therapeutic for me. I was talking about shit I never talked about.
Right.
And so when I came across these veterans, I realized, man, these guys are trying to put food on their table. So I decided, I had this brilliant idea. As you said, Bookface heard me talking to myself, and I said, man, what they need is a radio station just strictly for veterans. And next day, Facebook showed me this ad, said start your own radio station for $39.95. I said, well, shit, that's easy, man. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
So I did. I didn't know shit about copyright. I didn't know shit about any of that stuff. And I discovered real quick that it is much harder to do that than before. And I was quickly getting burned out trying to DJ 4 or 5 times a day or a week, and still do my full-time job and everything else. And so I ran an ad looking to have some people help DJ. And that was the advertisement that you've seen. We got licensed through BMI and through ASCAP. So, we are a legitimate radio station.
Yep.
And the name was Gunroom Radio from the podcast. Since I am now a solo host, and it didn't make no sense to have a radio podcast called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room.
Right.
I changed the name, and we changed the name of the radio station to kind of be more sponsor friendly as well. But the whole purpose, man, was strictly just to help promote these veterans musicians, trying to get them out there and get their music out there and help them network. The world in the music industry has changed a lot since I was younger, and now getting your music played by streaming and stuff like that does not pay the bills. They have to get gigs. They have to be on a stage somewhere. Otherwise, they're not going to make it. And so that's where the radio station came from, was to help network them. And we've met some great people and some great organizations. And you were one of those great people that I said, hey, we need to promote.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and did you ever?
I absolutely did, man.
I went from a nobody DJ once a week on Wednesdays to what they did is they put a corn dog in the water and they caught a dorkfish and they reeled that bastard up. And now I'm sitting on the board of directors with Don and another fella. So it went from but it's so much fun. Like the quality and the caliber of some of these musicians that we play. And I've just dealt with the rock station. I haven't listened to the country stations, or we also have a vet mix station. I haven't listened to the two of those because I focus on the rock station as for now. And but my God, we've got everything from like death metal to punk to almost ska with Souls Worn Thin, and like great songs like the Costco song, which is amazing. So
I just added a new artist yesterday to the Ranger Rock Wave station.
Oh, I'll have to go in there and
Her name is Katarina Santana. And man, she is super talented. She is more dance, pop, and stuff like that. But man, she's doing big stuff.
And I mean, I love it. Any genre of rock we have, basically, whatever, like from soft rock all the way up to, oh my God, I need to sacrifice this goat to the Beelzebub. I mean, we got it all on that rock station, and I mean, it's awesome. Also, while here at the beginning of the show, we are also taking donations. If you would like to donate to the radio station, I will put a link up here in just a second once we talk about it. But I'll tell you, my low goal is $2,000. I would like to raise $2,000 in 6 months. And there's a specific reason why I'm shooting low right now, because there's a specific thing that I would like for us to get so we can hit the ground running. We're still having to pay the incidentals and stuff for the 501(c). Yep. So that's why I'm asking for donations and it's not just a radio station. What else did you say? We've got podcasting, we've got authors.
Yep. So Heroes Voice Media Foundation, and the purpose behind it is we are trying to help veterans that had goals and dreams prior to the military. There is a ton of places out there that deal with PTSD way better than I do. But there's not a whole lot of places to help people pick up those dreams. And a lot, like with the radio station, a lot of the people, they wanted to be musicians before they came in the military. And they put that on hold, served their country. And then 15 years after that, they come back, and now nobody's interested in them performing anymore because there's no longevity in their career. So not a whole lot of labels are signing 45-year-old people to become musicians. The competition is younger, and the competition's got a much longer career and a lot more money to be made. So the purpose of this is to help them live these dreams. They put their dreams on hold for us. We're going to help them live out these dreams. And the radio station is just one part of it. The other part of it is Words from Warriors. It's helping people become authors and get their books published. The other part of what we do is help veterans document their war. As we've learned recently, it's not for sure what 30 years worth of history is going to teach us about the war that we lived. The school systems, the colleges, the just the people talking to their youngins. We don't know what that is going to entail 30 years from now. I think it's important that we document and at least get the opportunity for us to tell what it is that we're doing. And so anything to do with media is where we do it at. But
I can take them.
Well,
but Tracy, we'll talk.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's a lot to it. For me, podcasting was therapeutic, and it got me talking to veterans and like-minded people. And that's where Military United Podcast Stream started from. The big part of this is to give veterans a voice and a platform where they're not having to compete. That's what the radio station does. That's what Words from Warriors does. And that's exactly what MUPS does. Military United Podcast Streams. It's a safe place for you to talk and do whatever you want and continue to heal, as well as maybe look at media as a potential career choice.
Yep.
We've got man.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts that are integral to, in my humble opinion, into PTSD recovery. You don't ever really recover from PTSD. You just learn ways to live with it. There's a saying, all veterans pay with their life. Some pay all at once, and others pay until they die. And with Donald's help and Donald doing all this and then coming on board, this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to get in on the ground floor of so many really cool things to help veterans. And I say this a lot: be careful what nonprofit you donate to. Wounded Warrior, some of the bigger ones. I'm a Wounded Warrior alumni, and they've helped me this many times, and I've asked. But so find, do your research, find a good nonprofit that you like, and give local, give to the small guys like us. I mean, we're doing everything out of pocket because we love it. So I've got the Cash App right here. That $ Gun Room Radio. If you would like to donate $1.50, I mean everything helps. And there's also a Venmo that I will put up.
So the other part of this, right? There's an organization called Operation Encore that is working with us. There's an organization called Hero Stock that is working with us. And they all have separate missions. Veteran spouses are allowed to be a part of the program, all the way up to grandparents. Yep. So if they're an author, songwriter, podcaster, whatever they do, spouses are welcome as well, because they were PCSing. They were forced to live the life that the veterans were forced to live too. And 100. Again, if you're PCSing, you're not going to be gigging at the same places long enough to get a name known and to be able to network into an organization that's going to help you. So that's why we included dependents as well. But let me tell you a little bit about what Hero Stock and our partnership consists of. So Hero Stock, what they do is they go around and they have organizational days, fun days, right? They support first responders and veterans. They bring in a band and they have a good time, man. They bring in food. They bring in all sorts of entertainment, tons and tons of 501c and some bands. Well, with what we do with the radio station, we partnered with them. And what they've started doing is they're signing our bands that are on our radio station to perform. This year, they're performing in Nashville, Rolla, Missouri, and 2 different spots in Nebraska. The bands in Rolla, which is the main event that we are partnered with, is 2 Marines, 1 Navy, and 1 Army Special Forces. That is what's performing. Shannon Book will be headlining, 17-year Navy veteran. You have a 17-year Marine veteran, J.B. Brown, wounded, retired. And you have Derek Stoner, 20-year Special Forces, Green Beret. And then Barbara Sims, a 4-year Marine veteran. And so, yes, we are outnumbered again. The Marines do. Marines, because even the Navy was a corpsman, so he spent his whole time with the Marines. So
he was Greenside, so he's one of us.
Yep.
So, he's allowed to wear that EGA. That's right.
But the part that we are trying to get right, what we want to see happen is what's called the VMAs. We want a not a separate category, but a category for veteran podcasters, veteran musicians, veteran authors, and the goal is to be able to raise money for good veteran related charities. I didn't know this until I started this program, but there's a organization out there that has what's called the Miss America Veteran Pageant. And the proceeds go to veteran homeless females with children. And I didn't know this, that there's a shortage of homeless shelters that will take children.
Yes.
And so that's where the money goes to. You have to be a veteran to participate. You have to win your state just like you would as a Miss America pageant, and you compete as a state winner at the national level. And all the proceeds, there's only one charity, and that's the charity that it goes to. So what we want to create is what's called the VMAs, the Veteran Music Awards, and we want the larger veterans that have made it, your George Straits and people that have served but have made it in the industry. We want them to host it, and us and
Yep.
Operation Encore are working towards that. I believe 100% that it will happen.
Oh, it's going to
And
happen.
oh, yeah, I have no
Yeah.
doubt. I mean, there's already people that are interested in being a part of it. Still a lot of moving pieces, but it will happen. And the point from this is the fact that maybe some of these artists won't be the next Garth Brooks, but they will be for that day. And
Yep.
it's important that we are giving back to the veteran community, giving them that opportunity to live out those dreams. And who knows? A few of the veterans have already been signed by labels that
Hmm.
were on our radio station. Scotty Hastings, um, you've got Mike Ponder. Both of those guys have already been picked up by labels, and I think there's a lot of other people. You got Shannon Book that's headlining Rolla. He opened for Stain. I
Yep.
mean, we're talking about real talent. We're not talking about people that are just singing in the shower. I mean, these guys are trying to do this for a career, and they are of equal caliber to a lot of their compadres. The problem is just they don't have the longevity of a career. You
Right.
know, investing a bunch of money in somebody that's got 5-6 more years is not a good ROI. And that's kind of where it comes down to. And that's where we come into to help them get that step up. They're not fighting with everybody on Spotify. They're on a radio station strictly for them.
Yep.
Businesses are streaming them. People are hearing them, and there is a ton of people out there that want that kind of music.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's a big event, and it's a big deal, and there's a ton of stuff that's happening around it, and I think people will enjoy it.
Yeah. Like, if you guys, anybody that's watching, because I know I have some people from the Midwest, like Russell, that are watching and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, the hero stock is June 29th from
Yep.
3 to 10 ish. I'm sure there's an ish at the end because it's a veteran thing. Who knows?
Yeah, we
Um,
scheduled to 10:30, but
yeah.
when it ends, it ends.
Um, so come out and hang out with us. This is going to be my first year at Hero Stock. You get to see me and Donald out there. Plus, I don't. Is our third member coming out? Is Brian
He will
coming
be
or?
at the Nebraska one, and I believe he's getting the itch, and maybe at the Rolla one. I heard a sway in the voice that says he might be coming, so we'll see. But
Okay.
he'll definitely be at the Ashland, Nebraska one.
So yeah, guys, come out, hang out with us. We'll be going like live on the radio. I'm sure I'll be DJing. Donald will be DJing.
Yep.
I'll be interviewing the bands. I have we have some special access set up that you can only see our content on our platforms. And when that gets closer, I'm going to consolidate platforms so you know exactly where to go. You'll be able to see performances. You'll be able to get a little backstage, action with the artists and some of the mucky mucks that make it happen, the powers that be. I'm going to try to interview as many as I can. There's going to be videos, podcasts, radio. We're going to do the damn thing,
Yep.
all for the name of veterans and healing,
Yep.
mental and physical healing.
There'll be a car show there. The chief of the police department here in Rolla is going to try to reach out and get a B-2 bomber, I believe he said, to do a flyover.
Oh, sweet.
We are looking at also, so in the Ashland area, there's a group called Zulu Bravo that will be jumping in the American flag, the POW flag, and the Hero Stock flag. I'm sorry, I lied to you. It's the American flag, the Gold Star Mother flag,
Yep.
and the Hero Stock flag. But they are going to. They said they would come to Rolla too if we can get a aircraft, and I believe that is in the works of happening. So there is a ton of stuff that's happening. It's not just a band. There's four
Yep.
bands, and it's if you're not a veteran or a first responder, it's $10.
I mean, come on, guys. Yeah, $10.
It's if you're a veteran or a first responder, you get 4 free tickets.
Yep.
So the people doing the car show, they pay $10 a person, and the car is free to enter, and there'll be prizes for the car show and all that. So if you're in the area and you want to show off your cars or your bikes, feel free. You just pay for the tickets for the concert, and the car show's free.
Yeah, and definitely come out and say hello. Tons of vendors, I'm sure. Sure, there'll be food trucks or something
Yep.
like that. I mean, yeah, just come
There'll
out,
be
bring the kids.
It appears that the city of Rolla, or the Phelps County Fairground, is also going to host a beer garden. And I know of like 5 food trucks that's going to be out there. There's going to be bounce houses for the kids. Um, Absolutely. Bring
Yeah,
your
bring it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read what Lisa she said earlier, but she's a Air Force veteran.
Okay.
I do. I do have quite a few veterans that watch the show because believe it or not, paranormal and veterans, man, they're all over the place. So
I follow it. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
I
I just did an interview on Donald's show, and we talked about the paranormal. And may you know what, we may add little bits and pieces of some paranormal stuff with
Yeah.
the veterans. I know if you guys have watched me for longer than a year, I've been talking about the Veterans Paranormal Project that I've been wanting to start. Um, who knows where it's going to go, but it's all going to start at Rolla. $10 if you're not a veteran or first responder.
Yep.
You know, if you are, 4 free tickets. Bring the family. Bring your dog. I don't care. I
Yep.
like dogs. You like dags? I like dags.
Yep. It's like I said, it's all open. There's plenty of room. So the whole fairgrounds was donated by the city for us to use, to include the racetrack if we wanted it.
I want to take my Equinox around the racetrack.
Well, unfortunately, they have turned it into a demolition derby track, so you won't be
Do
able to
not
make
want to take my. I don't want to do that then. I mean, but if at any point throughout the day, if I was like, "Hey, Donald, can I borrow your keys?" Don't ask twice. Just give me your car keys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about the radio station and we've talked about, a good bit of the nonprofit, but I'll tell you what I like to do on the show, and I want to get to know you.
Okay.
So, you and I, we suffer from a lot of the same generic war wounds, traumatic brain injury. CRS, can't remember shit.
Yep.
Can't sleep at night, the PTSD, the nightmares, the night terrors, the body pains, the blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
What keeps you going every morning? We'll start there.
So, have you ever felt that sense where, like, I am on the right path, right? This is where I was supposed to be. Not what I wanted to be, but where I'm supposed to be. So,
Right.
growing up, I had the same childhood fantasies as everybody else. I wanted to be a football player. And then when I realized I wasn't a football player, I decided I wanted to be a boxer. And so when I got in the Army, I started boxing. And I wanted to be all Army boxing. And I realized there's people a lot better at it than me. And
Right.
so when I got out, I decided, while I was in, I wanted to own my own shop. I wanted to be a maintenance guy. I wanted to be a mechanic and have my own shop. And so when I got out, I opened up my own business. I ran a successful trucking company for 6 years, and COVID kind of hit and put that out. But those 6 years that I ran, that I wanted to be a entrepreneur, and I still wasn't happy. And it didn't feel right. I still was miserable, man. Now, granted, part of it is I hadn't gotten any help yet. I hadn't gotten any treatment. I definitely had anger issues and PTSD and everything else. I mean, I didn't even spend time with my family, and this is in my book as well. I talk about times that I would come home and supposed to be home for the weekend, and I would stop 30 miles short of my house and tell my wife I ran out of hours. I couldn't make it home because the anxiety was so high that I knew if I
Yep.
went home, there was just going to be a fight. And so I would sleep 30 miles from the house because I just couldn't deal with how I was feeling. And when I moved to Rolla to take care of my mom, and again, our health system is the reason why we're in Rolla. My mom was going to lose a bunch of medical benefits if I brought her back to Georgia. I couldn't afford to keep the business going with COVID, so I closed
Right.
the trucking company, and I got a job offer in Rolla. So I moved my mom to Rolla. I moved to Rolla. My wife and kids and everybody's still in Georgia, and I knew I still needed help. I had seen a doctor. I'd gotten some help, and he'd closed his business, his practice, and did the same thing a lot of veterans did. With the help of him closing his business, I said I don't need no more help. I'm good.
Yep.
Feel good.
Right. Oh,
Well, I did until the medication wore off, you know, and then I
uh-huh.
slowly started going because I hadn't put in the time. I hadn't dealt with the real trauma at that
Right.
point. I was dealing with the symptoms. And so when I moved back to Rolla, I went and seen the VA. And the help of my old first sergeant and us having somebody to talk to, and then the podcasting started. I got the opportunity to start healing, man. I started getting to see myself, and then I discovered an organization. It's not an organization; it's a for-profit company. I'm sorry, I like to be clear about that. Um, Called the Warriors Way Mindset. It's owned by a guy named Rick Yee, and I get it; it is a for-profit, but I'm gonna tell you, man, they did wonders for me. Um,
Yep.
they helped me deal with my anger issues. They helped me deal with some of the depression I was dealing with, and they showed me how to start working the um, the steps to actually deal with the trauma. As a matter of
Right.
fact, if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have made it through the whole book. You know, my book is only 84 pages, and it took me a year and some months to write it because when I got to certain areas, I stopped. I
Right.
just I was starting to have nightmares again. I was starting to have issues again. And so I quit writing. And the other bad habit of mine is I have a tendency to not leave myself any time to think. So I feel every minute to the point of when I go to sleep
Yep.
with things to do. And you don't know how many people ask me, how do you accomplish what you accomplish? I mean, I have built 5 web pages with the help of one other person. I built
Yep.
an app for the radio station.
Yep.
The All the different programs I completely run one of them myself. You run the radio station, and Brian runs the other one. On top of that, I'm still getting ready to take on some big other projects that I just can't quite talk about just yet.
Yep.
But I do this because it's kind of greedy, man. I don't like to have that time sitting there. And
I have to. I'm the same with you. I have to fill my time up. I mean, and the people that have my viewers that have watched for a while, they know I was a raging alcoholic. Coming up on 3 years sober. But I realized I was an alcoholic because I all I did was nothing.
yeah,
Like I got retired. Medically retired. Okay, at 30 something years old, I'm medically retired.
yep.
What am I going to do? I'm going to drink, and that just went all the way down.
Yep.
But now I stay busy. I try to stay busy, and I think I stay a little too busy.
Yep.
But this up here, ladies and gentlemen, is a neighborhood you do not want to go to alone.
You can't win by yourself, man.
No.
And that was the other first part of this whole program, man. Like I said, I had no intentions of this ever becoming a nonprofit, man. Hell, I didn't think I had anything to offer anybody to be a nonprofit,
Right.
But I do have a few good skills, man. I'm pretty good with computers. And so when we started that podcast, I built an app. And it was just called the same thing as a podcast. It was called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. And it had the ability for people just to reach out and chat with us if they were having a hard time. And I answered that phone several times at night, and I would lay there and talk to a stranger that I didn't know, And
Yep.
unlike what a lot of people think, half the time, man, it was telling jokes and lies and making people laugh, and I couldn't tell you what their problems were.
Yep.
We didn't talk about it. But I do know that when we hung up, that they were in a better state of mind and they would live that night to continue to fight the next day. And
Sorry,
I think
having a technical difficulty. I'll be right back on screen.
you're good, man. And so at the end of the day, it was important for me to continue that because it became therapy for myself. I got to the point to where I was treating myself basically and didn't even know it. And then discovering the warrior's way mindset and dealing with somebody that can actually help me deal with the underlying problems. That wasn't all military. I mean, some of it was, I am just an asshole and I had to accept that. But at the end of the day, um, it was something that they put it in terms that the VA wasn't able to do. I wasn't able to understand it. They weren't able to understand what I went through. And so I found another group that could. I would have never found that had it not been for podcasting. I brought Rick on the show because I discovered him through Facebook. I just ran through and found his page and thought it sounded interesting. And the podcast has grown to more than just the 501c now. I mean, now I got people on. I had a guy on that does fire walking. I've had just all sorts. It hasn't released yet, but I had a UFC fighter on. It'll be releasing here in May. I had a guy that used to be security for Dennis Rodman and Mike Tyson. I've had a ex-mobster on that became a cop and an undercover agent. I mean, all sorts. Still interesting stuff.
Right.
Oh, yeah. But that's season 3, and I'm not ashamed to admit my podcast was about me healing. I didn't care. To this day, I still don't care how many people watch it. I'm meeting new people and I'm enjoying it. But had it not been for that podcast, Veterans Voice Radio at that time, Gun Room Radio, MUPS, Heroes Voice Media Foundation, none of that would have existed. Know? And so I do owe a lot to it. And that's why I give back to it. I want people to know that at the end of the day, none of us believe that media is therapy, right? But it is important to get you talking, get you out of your house so you're not isolating. Yes. And at some point, you will find the help that works for you, whether it be from another podcaster, whether it be from writing songs and you discovering that you can deal with some of these demons, and you can start, going through the steps to help yourself, whatever it be, as long as you keep doing something and not giving up and saying, well, I lose, you win, and isolating, because that's where suicide
Yep.
and everything else starts coming into mind.
I had 3 suicide attempts, and that was when I was isolating in darkness in my own cocoon with my blinds
Mhm.
closed. That's it. You're right. When your inner darkness turns to outer darkness, it's a sad, scary place, and but you just never know. As long as you don't give up, or you have just that little teeny bit of hope, you can make it. And that's why I jumped on the project with you. I'm nobody. I'm not. I'm nothing really. But if I say something or this little nugget that makes somebody think, you know what, maybe I do need to go out to roll and hang out with these guys, or maybe I do need to, go walk the dog. Something cool. I got you out of the house. Sweet.
Yep.
Rock on. We can go. We can work with that.
Yep. Hero Stock is on to something, man. I went to their event last year. I live streamed the whole thing. If you can't make it to Rolla, it will be not just audio. There will be cameras set up that's going to be live streaming
Yep.
as well. So
Yep.
you will be able to watch it and enjoy the music and the camaraderie. But if you can make it out there, I'm going to tell you something, man. There is people out there that could not deal with crowds. There was a guy out there
Yep.
that in this was in Nebraska last year. He said he told the CEO of Hero Stock, I'll come out and I'll visit for 10, 15 minutes and make an appearance, but I just can't deal with crowds. The anxiety gets too high. So don't get mad. I'm just going to stay for a few minutes and I'm going to leave. He stayed for 5 hours. And
Yep.
when it was over with, he said, this is the first time I felt comfortable in years. And that is exactly the types of things that's going on. My podcast has introduced me to hunting organizations.
Yep.
There's an organization, and it's part of something that's coming up for Words from Warriors in Alabama. So if you're in Alabama, there's a place there right there in Talladega called Dove's Tail Landing, and it is going to be huge. And we're going to be working with them to do a project. Like I said, I can't exactly talk about it just yet, but in the next coming months, you'll see some really cool stuff. And they're building a $40 million veteran retreat,
Yep.
funded through the state of Alabama and several other organizations that's helping do this. We're talking about a place that's going to be re-educating veterans in trades to put them in the workforce. We're talking about a place to help with sobriety. We're talking about a place that is going to help with people that are just struggling mentally. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the state of Alabama donated 57 acres with a house already on
Ooh,
the property.
nice.
You know, and then another $40 million is going into building it. So really, really cool stuff. But I would never found any of that stuff if it wasn't for the podcast, man. You know,
Exactly.
that has nothing to do with me, but it gives me a source. So when I come across a veteran that is struggling, I say, hey, I can't help you, but I know this project over here that can do some
Yep.
really cool shit. And
Oh yeah.
that's what's important, man. Is that ability to be able to find the help. You ain't got to be the guy that provides it, but if you know who can, man, it's a win.
Exactly.
And
That's why I'm hoping that my next guest on Veterans Edition. I don't know if you follow the guy on YouTube, Veterans Info Tap. I don't know if
mhm.
you've seen any
I've
of
seen.
his
I don't
videos.
follow him, but I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah.
I'm talking with him right now to try to get him to come on the show because I mean he keeps up with all the VA changes and all the knowledge and all that. So, and you're right. I would have never met him had I not started down a path to where I myself need to keep up with the VA changes for other people. So, I would have never found him or met him or half the people, or organizations like you say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's not. And for those people that are sitting in their house, the veterans that are in that dark area, but you're like, I want to be like these guys and I want to help. Well, just remember one step at a time because I used to sit there and think about that. Like if I could just go out and help somebody, I'd be okay. Horse shit. No, deal with you. We'll help you.
Yeah.
If you need somebody to talk to, trust me because I destroyed a lot of shit before I finally started building.
Yeah.
It's
different if you want to spend some time volunteering because you don't want to sit in your house. But there's a lot of things that go into actually like putting yourself into a nonprofit. It takes up a lot of time and it will drain you. I'm gonna give you a for instance, right? There's a guy that has a podcast. The podcasting community is amazing. By the way, so a shout out to all the podcasters out there because I have never felt so inclusive, just in general. Whether you're a veteran or whether you're a sports guy, a romance guy, a relationship person, whatever, man.
Right.
The whole podcast community. Excuse me. Is just out there to help, man. So I got asked to be on a show, and the show is called The Fallible Guy. The guy that runs it is a veteran, and damn allergies, man.
No,
I'm sorry.
trust me.
I apologize, everybody. But he has a nonprofit, right? So his day job is his podcast, and it's called The Fallible Guy. Army veteran. And when he came to me, I thought I was coming on this show to talk about what I was doing. I left wanting to be a part of a whole nother project. But I just couldn't, I just don't have the time to put into it. But I did support it. So his thing and his mission was he wants to be able to have a podcast that doesn't have any credit to anything that you're doing, right? So no names, no nothing. He wants fathers, men, to be able to read to children that don't have a father or don't have a parent that can read to them.
Ooh, yeah.
So, on my weekends, I suggested to him. So I asked him, I said, are we talking like Cat in the Hat or are we talking about, 9-10-year-old books that are, for a little bit older kids? And he said, I've never done any of the longer stuff. He said, it's right now, it's the kids. So I chose this book right here, Where the Red Fern Grows. And what I do is I upload a chapter at a time and he'll put it out there. And again, it's not about any credit. I just felt like, man, that's an amazing cause. I get it. It's not the same as somebody sitting in the room in a chair next, the being somebody's dad and reading, but it's better than having nobody that can read to you. And there's a lot of studies out there that talk about the things that the benefits from children having somebody to read to them as they're going to bed versus not having that intimacy. And unfortunately, in the men area, that is an area that we're lacking in. And so the podcasting community, man, it's not just a veteran thing. It's like almost every podcast finds a cause to get behind. And I think that's an amazing thing. And it just makes me want to be more a part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fascinating when you get out there and just watch random podcasts, even if I don't agree with their point of view.
Yeah.
They're still passionate. They still believe in something.
Yep.
And who am I? It doesn't matter if I like it or not. As long as you're out there and you believe in what you're doing and you're not hurting anybody, which is all damn near the whole podcast community. I mean, you'll find exactly what you need and you'll make friends with people that you see on the computer screen. It's not like TV or movies.
Yep.
Like, I actually respond to my Facebook messages. I'm sure, Donald, you do too when you have time.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah, but I make sure if somebody sends me a message, I'm going, unless it's a BS, I'm going to respond to you.
Yeah.
I
don't respond to any of the negativity.
No, I don't do that.
And I do want to talk about one thing. Miss Kim Brady, absolutely, she's 100% right. The podcast started out to bring soldiers that we served with. I didn't expect to reach anybody else, and then it turned into a selfish act. I found therapy through it, and at that point, I just wanted to keep talking, man. I just wanted to keep healing, and having soldiers on and like-minded people gave me that opportunity.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't until season 2 that, had I tried to help other people during season 1 of my show, exactly like you would have said, it would have failed. I wasn't in the mental state to be able to deal with some of the other people's problems and give good advice. I wasn't giving myself good advice. I was drinking every night.
Yep.
And if I had to drink to go to sleep, thank God I don't think there's any Facebook lives from that time period left on there, because we were pretty shit-faced talking. It was not a healthy environment, and I don't condone it in any way. I still drink maybe 2 or 3 drinks a week now versus say a 6-pack a night just to go to sleep, because otherwise I lay there awake.
I was at my highest when I was drinking 36 beers a day. And that was on a regular day. I mean, I could, and that was beer plus whatever liquor that I had around or I could find. And I mean, it is not healthy when you start going down the self-medication route.
Yep.
It's either you quit or you die.
Yeah. And like I said, I was doing it just to sleep. Otherwise, I would lay there all damn night and not be able to go to work the next day because I couldn't stay awake.
Or still go to work the next day on one of those second winds because we're military guys and we've been overseas. I've gone 3 freaking days without sleeping. I'll just go to work. And that just adds.
I did it when I drove the truck. Now at that point, I couldn't afford not to get up and go and drive because I was the boss, and if I didn't move the truck, I didn't make no money. So I would lay in my sleeper at night trying to sleep and get up the next day with maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, sometimes none, and drive for 11 hours. This would go on for a couple days.
Oh yeah.
And man, it's not healthy. It's not. And if you need, that's the first sign right there, man. If you need alcohol or something else to sleep, just because your mind is flipping, going through things nonstop, man, that's the first sign that you need some help. There's something that is bothering you. This should not be an issue. And if it is, you need to identify it, because that's the beginning stages, man. It doesn't get better after that.
No, and that's and that's nothing but a symptom of the larger problem. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll just quit drinking and fine." No, you're just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom to a larger problem.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I'm 100%. Go see a shrink. Go talk to your best friend. Go find you somebody that you can just word vomit your stuff.
Yep.
You got to get it out.
Yeah, man, that's, dealing with the underlying problems is the key. And unfortunately, after all the years of me telling myself I'm a piece of shit, I'm, not a failure, I'm not a good, I mean, I got to the point, man, where I was coming home, having dinner with my family, and then going straight to the bedroom. And I spent the rest of the night. And by this time, my wife's not even sleeping in the same bed with me anymore
Yep.
because of all the
Yep.
nightmares and me hitting her and shit in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And then she would ask me what's wrong, and I would tell her just a bad dream. And then she would say, well, what was the dream about? Wanting to be a part of this and help me. And what would I say? I'd lie to her. I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And I
And
was
I would
damn
try to
well
get away with that. Well, yeah, and I would try to get away with that with my wife too. And I'd be like, "Oh, I wasn't dreaming about combat." She goes, "You were speaking Arabic in your sleep." And at that point, I'm like, "All right, you got me," But
Allah Akbar. God is good.
Ola snack bar. Oh God.
Yeah.
So those of you
No.
just joining us, think we are here with Donald Dunn, President, CEO, and just all around good damn dude from Veterans Voice Radio, Stories with Donald Dunn, Heroes Voices Media Foundation, all the above. We have a Cash App link here in the I don't know what that's called. The podcast thing where you can see it on the screen. It says it right there. See, look, bam. That goes to help us finance all the various projects. As of right now, we are trying to raise $2,000 in 6 months. So we can go ahead and file everything and get all the federal paperwork done for the 501(c) so we can get the EIN. Then Donald and I and Brian, we have plans on hitting it, getting in the streets. Hey, now we have this incentive to try to see if we can't get more. So, because the more we are able to get, the more we're able to help veterans and first responders.
A little bit of advice. If you were trying to, if you want to get involved helping in anything, I don't care what the topic is, and you want to become a nonprofit, don't do it the way I did it. When I started, I had no intentions of this ever being a nonprofit. And I built the programs before I built the nonprofit. So Gunroom Radio, now Veteran Voice Radio, started in May of last year. So May 1st will be a full year, right? It'll be his first year. And I had no intentions of this being any bigger than that. A radio station, my podcast, $39.95, good to go. You know?
Yep.
And plus the licensing annually for BMI and ASCAP. I'll cover that shit. No big deal. Right. And man, then I just seen the need. I just seen things out there. And because I did it backwards, I built the projects before the nonprofit. I've had to change the names of things. One, because it just wasn't, friendly to other companies that might want
advertiser friendly. Yeah.
Having a radio station called Gunroom Radio didn't necessarily fly. Having a podcast called Two Drunk Dudes in a Gunroom didn't necessarily fly.
Right.
And then I just found other needs, man. I found the author program. There was holes there that people weren't quite getting. There was a ton of veterans, man, that want to write books. They don't understand how the publishing part works. So there's stories out there that need to be told that aren't being told just because people don't understand how to do certain steps of that. So I added that program. Then I added MUPS, and all of this done. And then I said, oh shit, it needs to be wrapped up under nonprofit. And so that is the reason why it's done backwards. It's
but I don't so much necessarily think it was all backwards and stuff, because you didn't know that it was going to turn into a grassroots type movement,
Right.
So we're just we're behind the 8 ball slightly, not terribly, but it will all work out. We'll get there. But if you can donate anything, 50 cents, $1, Please do it to the Cash App, the $ Gun Room Radio. Every little bit helps.
Yep.
Or okay, hey, where can people find your book? How can people get your book?
So if they go to wordsfromwarriors.org, click on authors, and there's a list of all the authors that are part of that. You'll see my name, Donald Dunn. You can click on that, and that takes you to the spot to buy my book. Unfortunately, this is ironic. I don't know how it even happened, but my book is already being copied on Amazon. And if you go to Amazon to buy the book, you're going to pay $22 plus shipping for a book that was copied and not my book. Or you can go to wordsfromwarriors.org and buy an autographed copy for $15. I mean,
yep.
I don't get it.
We hear at Shaman Sundays and the network, like, I never recommend anybody go to Amazon. They don't pay their authors. They're just they're just completely screwed up. I've got a bunch of friends that are authors. I'd much rather you go straight directly to the author, get you an autographed copy, which is cool, and plus we make sure all the profits goes to that individual, as opposed to Books a Million online or any of these other places. So yeah, I definitely recommend go straight to the source and get it.
And that's where
I'll be picking mine up when I go to Rolla.
Anything that is sold, any of those books that are sold, all the money goes towards the nonprofit status through the IRS. So right now I believe there is somewhere between 600 and 700 in the account. So we're still, like you said, about 1,100 shy of just enough to even cover the legal fees. There's still some other fees, like you said, about another $2,000 is what's needed. But we are donating to it as well. It's not like we're making anything from it. So
I mean, we're still coming out of our pockets here and there. Like, Donald, you had mentioned the app. Right now, the app is down.
It should be.
Did it come back up?
The old app is, yes.
Okay, so we got a new app.
Yes. So
I did not know that.
Yep. Within the last month, I have finished, and all I did was create what's called a WAP. It's a hybrid app, so it's more web-based than it is. I got tired of dealing with individual companies, Android and them. So what I did, I created a web-based app. If you go to veteransvoiceradio.com, and then if you have Android, click the little 3 dots I think it's at the top of the screen for Android. I use iPhone, so I'm not 100% sure. And then click save to home screen, right? And then when you do that and you click on it, it'll open up the app version of it, not the web-based app. Same thing with so if you have Android and you're on your phone, you have to do it from your phone. If you go to your phone and you click the little 3
here at the right
dots or whatever, you can also click on that for Android. Apple is just strict, man. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just they're very hard to deal with. And if you go to that, you click on it, save the home screen, and then you'll be able to listen to it on your phone. It'll open up like an app versus a web page. So, and from there, it's not so if you do that, you get everything, right? You get access to MMTV, which is on our Roku channel. It's military music television. If you click on MMTV there, Brandon, at the top.
Where am I at here? I'm lost. What's that?
It's
where am I
at the top menu, 2 or 3 to the right. If you click on that, that is our are military music television. So all these artists that have created music videos, like the old school MTV, you can click on that, and
there it is.
we've
Okay.
added
Yeah, here we are. There we go.
Everybody, it's like 50-50, Ms. Warner. Some people like Apple, some people like Google or Android. But yeah, you can as a matter of fact, Dear Mom, that one right
Oh, look at
there,
there.
that is the headliner for the Raleigh event. That's Shannon Book.
You know what?
That's
How
his.
about you and I take about it. How long is this song?
It's if you fast forward through the very beginning, because the beginning is Gold Star families talking about their loss of their loved ones. That it makes the song pretty long because that's like 4 or 5 minutes right there. But then right there, now that's where the song starts.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. How about we play? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play this video. We will step back from the screen for about 5 minutes, get us a little 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and continue with Donald Dunn. We're having such a great conversation, but we do want to play at least some of a song from the veterans from the radio station, so you can get a taste of like the caliber of what we're really dealing with. So I'll tell you what, Donald, I'm going to take us both down, and we're just going to play this, and then if you need a soda or whatever, then we'll come back after this.
Sounds good.
Dear Mom, I had a few minutes to write down what's itching inside my mind. It's been too long since we have talked about nothing at all. Wish I could call. I know you're lost. Please don't you worry. There's no need to hurry. Just stay strong. It won't be long before we're together. Right here in heaven, I miss you, Mom. Dear Mom, please believe I've done everything I needed to. Dear Mom, I'll be there when you breathe and while you're sleeping. Dear Mom, I know you are hurting, feeling the burden of me not there. You're way too strong to give up on living instead of still giving the love in your heart. I know it's hard, but never forget the things that I did and the reasons why you are my mom. So please keep on living, caring and giving. I love you, Mom. Dear Mom, please believe I've done everything I needed to. Dear Mom, I'll be there when you breathe while you're sleeping. I can't believe I'm saying these words to you, but believe what I'm saying. You made me the man that I am. I'll be there with you, baby, while you're sleeping. I love you, Mom.
And we are back to finish up. What a great song.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, that song gives me chills. So that project, right, was partnered between Shannon Book, his band, and Operation Encore. I believe the budget that they had set was like $7,900. It took like 2 weeks for them to make that video. And again, it's put on Amazon. That song, he was specifically asked to write a song for Gold Star Moms, right? And if you go to Shannon Book on YouTube, the first time he ever sang that song live, he didn't know it. He was asked to come to a music festival by the guy that asked him to write that song, and then asked him. He said, Do you mind performing that song?" And just had him come up on the stage, and then he had like 4 or 5 Gold Star Moms come up on the stage too. Shannon Book made
I'd
it.
have lost it. I'd have lost it.
He did. He did an amazing job professionally. He made it about 75% through the song before he choked up, and that song still bothers him. It's a tough song. Yeah, absolutely. You can share that in groups. It's on YouTube, so anybody, you're more than welcome to share it. It's on YouTube. It's free for everybody to look at. So
It falls under fair use, by the way. If you're worried
yeah,
about your YouTubes and stuff, Tracy, it falls under the fair use act in the copyright. So you're good.
yep. He
Okay,
wanted that
so
song to get to the world. So
yeah, we'll definitely push that out. So once again, everybody, we're gonna start wrapping it up. Usually, like I've been doing an hour shows, but we're having too much fun, so we're gonna go about 15 more minutes. And once again, I will put up this Cash App, $ Gun Room Radio. Anything helps. Just it, and we've already explained what we're doing, where the money goes. So if you're catching us at this point, please go back and watch the replay. All the details are out there, totally transparent. If you have any questions about the organization, please feel free to comment below. And because I always look at my comments, feel free to reach out to Donald Dunn.
yep.
And any questions that you have, or if you're concerned about money and nonprofits, which you should be,
Yep.
feel free to ask. Feel free to ask any questions. Try to be as transparent as possible because we're trying to save lives, not make our own life better. So,
Yep.
I
have a full-time
at
job.
least
I don't need them.
right, and the government thanks me twice a month. So oh, let's see here. What's up, Archbishop Ken? Super 5, brother. Thank you for tuning in. That's the only Catholic that I like. Is Ken. He is he's actually an exorcist and a
Really?
demonologist with the Solomonic Order of something. Please correct me, Ken.
Man, I need to get Ken on my show, man. That sounds right.
Ken, he's great. Great dude. He also went through some shit up here from the Marine Corps and stuff. Great dude. That's right. I love this guy, man. Okay. The Saint Michael the the Solomonic Order of Saint Michael the Archangel. So
I'll have to reach out to him.
Yeah, Ken, I'm gonna have Donald reach out to you. He's also with the Warren Legacy Foundation, which is Ed and Lorraine Warren that started that. Abigail, God, Annabelle the doll, and stuff like that. Like that was the Warrens. So he's part of that. Bro, thank you so much. He's such a busy man. Like it's such an honor, Ken, for you to tune in and watch my little podcast on the Lord's Day. I know you're super busy doing your circumflexes and stuff or whatever you do. But yeah, so any last things that you think maybe we didn't get across that we need to get across?
Absolutely. So the number one question I get is, how do I get my music on the radio station? It's simple. If you email me at Donald Dunn at heroesvoicemediafoundation.org, or if you reach out to Brandon, all you need is to send the tracks that you want played. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what branch of service you signed up for, you were in, if you're a spouse, whatever, right?
Yep.
And then give us a picture and a bio for the website, and I'll get it uploaded. Once they're uploaded, I will give you the dates of the first time that it's going to be played and what time. So if you want to share that with your friends and family or whatever, you're more than welcome to. And then from that point forward, it'll be in the rotation with everybody else. Same if you're wanting to be an author. Same if you want to be a podcaster. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is email us, tell us what it is that you do and what you want done. And if it's a program that we offer, we'll help you.
And also, one more note on the radio side. I haven't even talked to Donald about this yet, but I'm working on a way that we can do call-in. Awesome. I have a soundboard that will allow my cell phone to be plugged in. I just got to get it all mixed in to the mix, and I'll be able to take call-ins.
So with the radio station, if you have a Skype phone number, you'll be able to do it through Skype, and then it'll already be on your computer, and it'll automatically pick up. You just share it like a guest, you know.
And I found out it also does that with Facebook video.
Yep.
I was just messing around the other day, and I had a buddy of mine on Facebook video, and if you guys happen to be listening at midnight the other day, you caught a little glimpse of my conversation. Unfortunately, because I hit my encryption, and I just was running off at the mouth. Well, usually when I start my encryption, it will go ahead and turns on the old DJ live, and so you guys caught a little bit of
that's awesome
a conversation. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So we're able to do that. We're trying to add more and more cool things. There's whispers of maybe a talk radio coming at some point.
Yeah,
that's still in the ether. However, I think that's a very fun project. There's just all kind of stuff that we're doing on the radio side. Also, I want to plug Rolla one more time. Hero Stock, June 29th.
Yep.
From 3 to 5.
3 to 10:30.
3 to 10-ish. 10:30. There we go. Come join us. And like Donald said, if you can't join us, we're going to be live streaming. We're going to do we'll be on the radio. We're going to do all kind of stuff. And the quality of sound and video that we're going to be bringing you is going to be unprecedented for anything I've ever done, because we're teaming up with some people out there to get some straight inlines and stuff like that. So the quality and the video quality will be professional quality.
Yep.
So we're doing what we can. Kimmy Corpse, thanks for tuning in. I'm about to jump off, so I'll watch your show here, Kimmy. But yeah, I think that's a good one for round one. Donald, I'm gonna have to have you back on the show, man.
Brother, I'd be honored, man. I had a great time. I mean, chatting with everybody.
Man, thank you. Well, I'm glad. Like I don't plan what I'm going to talk about. I don't pre-plan my show. I just like to chit chat, and what happens, whether it's a train wreck or not.
I had a good time, man. That's the best way to do it.
Now, do you know when my episode that I did with you? Do you know or when it's going to air, so we can maybe give these people a little...
It's the last Wednesday of April, 30th.
Okay, yeah. 2030, right? 2034 is the year. I want mine to. Yeah. No, 34. I need you to push that way out. People don't want to watch me.
No, it's. I'm pretty sure it's April 30th.
Awesome, guys. Watch on April 30th on MUPS. Which at some point you will also be able to see Shaman Sundays on MUPS. No, whenever we figure that all out.
Absolutely.
But for right now, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Look, I appreciate I know that your time is valuable, and yet you, Donald, and everybody in my tribe, my viewers, chose to spend an hour and 30 minutes with me, and that means more to me than the world. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, and you chose to spend it with me and Donald, and I appreciate it. And I have a saying that I say before I end my show, but first, Carol, you got to help me. Carol Garcia. Frenchie, Hey, Frenchie, we're going to get together, dude. So Frenchie, the cool thing about it was in my best friend, Katie Stafford, the guy I was telling you about. My best friend lives in Kansas City. They were in the same Army unit together.
Oh, wow.
Just one day out of the blue, Frenchie pops up on KD's show. And it's like you make these little connections, and like Frenchie, he tunes in when he can, and I love it.
I do want to point out, though, did you see that there was no R in that? It's not hoorah, it's hoo.
That's, you know why? That's because it sounds like you guys got punched in the stomach. It's not my fault. Like, hey, what's going to be our war cry? All right, let me see your war face. Oh my God! So I end my show every time with the same quote, and hopefully, Donald, it'll mean something to you. That it means something to me. But I always say, it's not about surviving the storm, but it's how you dance in the rain that matters. Awesome, I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much. Hang out for just a second, Donald. And join me next Sunday, where my guest will be. I think I have a guest. I don't have a guest. Well, that's June. Yeah, I don't have a guest for the 28th. So we'll come up with something. We'll sit and chit chat. But again, thank you guys so much. And if you watch the replay, if you happen to donate to Gunroom Radio, please let us know in the comment. Just say, hey, I donated. And so that way we can get a thank you out to you. So until next week, guys, love you guys. Later.